Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Shifts and Pucks News Pack for Tuesday, March the 15th. You could, of course, follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com Shifts and Pucks, and subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Thanks to Sean for hosting yesterday with Tyler and Chris as they did the Canucks Talk podcast. They discussed the Pettersson situation in terms of the injury situation. We'll get into that in the today. We'll also talk a little bit about they talked about Tyler Mott and that situation as well, and did a trade deadline preview as well as discuss the Austin Matthews situation and officiating in the NHL. So check that out wherever it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you get your podcasts. So check that out. We're talking tomorrow about the Flames. We'll have that tomorrow for you. Still working out some details on the time in terms of some scheduling issues here, but we will post that for you there. We'll just start with the trade. Of course, we're 6 days away from the trade deadline, and the Colorado Avalanche have made not one but two trades since last we did a news pack. Yesterday they acquired Josh Manson from the Anaheim Ducks. In exchange for a second round pick in the 2023 NHL draft. A lot of people are feeling that 2023 NHL draft is better than the 2022 NHL draft. And they also got a defenseman, Drew Hellison, in that deal as well. So Manson, he's of course in the final season of that 4-year, $16.4 million dollar contract. He has 4 goals and 5 assists in 45 games this season. He was third on the Ducks with 116 hits. So, and then Manson was a 6th-round pick in the 2011 NHL draft, 113 points in 453 regular season games, 3 assists in 22 Stanley Cup playoff games. Hellison turns 21 on March 26th. He was a Colorado 2nd-round pick in the 2019 NHL draft. He scored 46 points in 82 games in 3 seasons with Boston College and 25 in 32 games as a junior this season. He signed a 3-year entry-level deal with the Ducks on Tuesday. So that's the first deal that the Avalanche made. The second deal they made this morning out here as they have traded Tyson Jost to the Minnesota Wild for Nico Sturm. Jost has 1 season remaining on his 2-year contract he signed last July of 2021. He is an RFA after the season. The 24-year-old, 14 points, 6 goals, 8 assists in 59 games this season. He was a first-round pick in the 2016 NHL draft. 103 points in 322 regular season games. And Sturm is also in the final year of his 2-year, $1.5 million contract. He is a RFA after the season. The 26-year-old had scored 17 points, 9 goals, 8 assists in 53 games this season. Now, the interesting thing about this trade is, yes, the Avalanche did add salary with Josh Manson, but they freed up a chunk, about one, according to Sean Gentile, freed up a good chunk of other salary as well. And of course, there is a lot of talk of where we are at with the Avalanche in terms of what they're going to do. They're the top team in the Western Conference. Um, they're probably the favorite to come out of the Western Conference, and the move that cut them out here, $1.3 million from the cap. So that's the big significant point. Of course, the name that everybody is kind of targeting here for the Avalanche is Claude Giroud. Now, Giroud plays his 1,000th game on Thursday. So the expectation would be, according to the thinking here for a lot of people, is that Claude Giroud ends up being traded after Thursday. So, but the Avalanche certainly want to make a couple of more moves to cement that. Daryl Sutter said today in his availability. If you are a wild card team, I sure as hell don't want to play Colorado in the first round because it's going to be a waste of 8 days. That's Daryl Sutter's quote. So it's that will be interesting what's going on there. So the trades will be coming in. We will be covering those here on the Shifts and Pucks podcast as part of our news packs. We'll be going through that for the next few days as well. Now, the Canucks are in action tonight. They are playing the New Jersey Devils. They come in, of course, with a record the Canucks do of 29, 24, and 7. They've lost 2 in a row, coming off the 2-1 loss, the loss to Tampa Bay. They are currently 3 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights. They will not have Pettersson tonight. He will be out for this game, according to what Bruce Boudreau said today. Is the expectation sounds like he is day to day, but it may be back on Thursday. Here, it's not a long term thing. Hopefully Thursday he'll be able to play. And the Canucks have recalled Nick Petan from Abbotsford. Jason Dickinson has been placed on injured reserve. So the lines today, according to practice here, as it comes into the game here, as they are facing the Devils, it's sorry, give me a quick technical issues. Just give me a quick moment. Is There we go. There we are. Miller, Pearson, Garland, Horvat, Hoglander, Besser, Lamico, Mott, and Highmore. Petan between Chason and Podkolzin. OEL and Myers, Hughes, Shen, Hunt, and Hamonic. Demko will get the call and goal. Power play 1, Horvat, Miller, OEL, Besser, and Hughes. Power play 2, Pearson, Garland, Petan, Chason, and Hunt. Devils, they will come in with a record of a 22, 32, and 5 at 49 points. They've won 5 of their last 10. They are 25 points out of a playoff, so looking like this season in playoffs is not working out for them this year. As far as the Calgary Flames go, of course, they're in action tomorrow against the same New Jersey Devils. But the significant news, a couple of significant things came out today. Adam Ruzicka, it was called back up. Connor Mackey was sent down. Oliver Shillington was back on the ice today. He missed both the Detroit and the Colorado game for injuries, but he's back skating. And the name that came up in the terms of trade talk was Frank Saravelli discussing today on Sportsnet 960 the idea of Sean Monahan being a possibility here. He says the Flames may be laying in the weeds to make a significant move here as a trade deadline. And Monahan's contract and maybe a draft pick could be something that is offered here as part of that deal. Now, of course, according to Cap Friendly, there is about 173,042 of cap space left. Monahan, of course, makes 6.375 this year and next year. And that's a question. And of course, a lot of people think that they'll need some center depth to get for a long playoff run. So we'll have to see what happens there. So the Flames are not in action until tomorrow against the New Jersey Devils after that 5 games in 7 days, John, for them. Now, in terms of other games in the National Hockey League, here we've got 11 games going on. We talked about the Devils and the Canucks. We won't touch on that. But Dallas is playing Toronto tonight. Significant here. Anton Khobudin out for the season with an injury for the Stars. It is expected that Eric Kallgren will get the call for the Leafs in goal tonight. Of course, Peter Mrazek struggling along a little bit here. And Mrazek had allowed a pretty tough goal in the Heritage Classic. So, expected Eric Kallgren could get the call tonight. The Stars, of course, are hanging on to that second on the wild card spot here. Well, actually, no, they're 1 point out of that wild card spot from Vegas. So they've lost 2 in a row. And the Leafs are sitting right now in third, but they're only 2 points ahead of the Boston Bruins right now for the first wild card spot. So big game for both of those teams. The Arizona Coyotes are taking on the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens continue to roll along here. And of course, it's not a game for any playoff positioning, but it is a regular season game. 40 points Montreal has. Arizona has in with 42 points. Arizona coming off that win against the Ottawa Senators yesterday. They won 5-3. The Anaheim Ducks, who traded Josh Manson, are taking on the New York Rangers. The Ducks might be fading away. They've lost 4 in a row at 64 points. The Rangers are sitting at 79 points. By the way, back to the Leafs and Stars. Of course, Austin Matthews getting a 2-game suspension. That's the first of those 2 games that he will be sitting out. We got the New York Islanders taking on the Washington Capitals. It could be the night that Alex Ovechkin passes Jaromir Jagr in goals for 3rd all time. Capitals, of course, sitting right now in the second wild card spot at 74 points. The Islanders, Sean thinks that they may have a chance to get a run. They've won 3 in a row. They have 4 games in hand on the Capitals. If they win today, they're 18 out. I think it's a long stretch, but we'll see what the Islanders can do here heading into the stretch run here. The Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Nashville Predators. Predators are hitting here at the first wild card spot at 34-21 and 472 points. The Penguins, of course, are sitting in second place with 81 points in the Metropolitan Division, as the Carolina Hurricanes seem to be pulling away a little bit at this particular point in time. Big Western Conference game, Vegas Golden Knights, Winnipeg Jets. Now, Vegas, of course, needing to end that losing streak at 68 points in the second wildcard spot. The Winnipeg Jets, who have been fluttering here a little bit, have found a way to kind of climb their way back. They're at 4 points back now. A win here, especially in regulation, pulls them within 2. So that will be a significant game tonight for them. We've got the Boston Bruins taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. And that will be the Bruins, of course, watching what the Leafs are doing and holding that first wild card spot. The Blackhawks, of course, talking about what's next for next season for them. By the way, back to the Arizona-Montreal game, I did want to mention Ben Sherratt will be kept out of action. Of course, it's expectation that he will be a player that will be traded at the trade deadline. The Detroit Red Wings taking on the Edmonton Oilers tonight. The Red Wings, of course, on that Western swing, coming off that 3-0 loss from the Flames. The Oilers are sitting in second place. They've won third place in the Pacific. They've won 2 in a row, technically tied with Vegas. So they'll want to keep that rolling here. The Oilers have 2 games in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights. And we've got the Colorado Avalanche with Josh Manson and Nico Sturm newly acquired against the LA Kings. The Kings are taking a beating in terms of injuries. Injuries galore in LA, but they've won 6 of their last 10. They're 5 points behind the Flames. Yes, the Flames have 2 games in hand, but don't count out the Kings for first place there. And yet the Florida Panthers and Joe Thornton, he will play in San Jose for the first time since he left the San Jose Sharks a couple of seasons ago. And of course, the Panthers are sitting in first place in the Atlantic and 86 points there, 40 wins. And then the Sharks, of course, are at 59 points and fading away from that playoff position. And that is the games for today. That's what's going on in terms of that. Another injury, of course, Jacob Chychrun, who was expected to be a trade deadline candidate. He's out 2 to 4 weeks for the Arizona Coyotes. He, of course, was injured against Boston on Saturday. 21.7 goals, 14 assists, and 47 games this season as they are going there. Now, so that is another significant injury, and I think you'll wonder what other people will be going around here, what that will mean, of course, for the trade deadline and other defensemen and costs. So we'll have to see about that as well. Now, we never got a chance yesterday because I recorded a little early because I did play-by-play yesterday. We did not touch on the players of the week in the WHL. Ben King of the Red Deer Rebels scored 2 game-winning goals. He had 5 assists and 7 points. He was the player of the week, goalie of the week. Tikon Cheka of the Prince Albert Raiders, an 0.99 goals against average in 3 games, 966 save percentage there as well. That cups that for the WHL. And the other news that came out yesterday that we wanted to touch on is there is a new junior league that will be coming to the West Coast, according to the Hockey News. This looks like the NHL teams from the Pacific Division already pledged their support. So we're expected to be announced some point this afternoon. It will be spearheaded by Ben Robert, who is a Montreal native, currently living in California. He's the managing founding partner of the West Coast Hockey Sports and Entertainment, as well as so he's one of the faces that will be up there. And then the plan is to be on the ice for the 23-24 campaign, giving the league a recruit and set up ownership and infrastructure. The plan is to start with 6 teams and plan to potentially jump to 12 in the coming years. The LA Kings, San Jose Sharks, Anaheim Ducks, and Vegas Golden Knights have already signed a joint statement endorsing the project. So that will be interesting to watch. It's a pretty significant thing that will be happening on the West Coast, high-level junior hockey heading there. So that covers our news here today for Tuesday, March 15th. Of course, you can follow us again. A reminder of the word of the week, which will be in Mondays and Wednesdays podcast. You can follow us all individually on Twitter. Sean Beardy Canucks03, Tyler TNOBLE, Chris Schneid's SCHNAIDZ, Devin Gordhouse 09, I am KEVOLE, Shifts and Pucks on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, as well as subscribe to wherever you get your audio, and as well on the Area 51 Sports Network. We will thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.